So we will begin our meeting with a call to order, and we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Sorensen, would you kindly lead us in the pledge? Yeah. Just back, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sorensen. Okay, first of all, Roman numeral 3, audience of any citizen. The FGC Board of Trustees will hear any citizen who wishes to address the board on a one-time basis pertaining to a relevant topic. If the board wishes to hear more about the topic, we'll schedule a future board meeting to address that topic. It will be scheduled at a future board meeting. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, and the time dedicated to this topic will not exceed 20 minutes. I do not have a speaker listed here tonight, so in the absence of any, we'll move forward. Roman numeral 4, approval of the board minutes from January the 11th, 2024. We've had these packets well in advance. Had the opportunity to read them, go over them. Do you see any changes, corrections, or amendments? If not, we'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Tepedino makes the motion to approve the minutes. Mrs. Allen seconds the motion. All in favor of that motion, if there's no discussion, members of the board, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. The motion is carried. Do we have a student government representative tonight? I don't think that I see one on Roman numeral 5, so we'll move on. But they do a great job of reporting, and it's a long way to Dixie. Worth it. Roman numeral 6, presentation of consent agenda. You see those matters. Had a request, and I'll explain. I would like to entertain a motion, if we could, please, to pull out the personnel matters off of the agenda and consider that separately. We have a member of our board who would like to recuse themselves from voting on that item, and I would like for them to be able to consider all the other items. So I would appreciate it kindly if you would agree to someone make a motion to remove personnel matters from the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion to remove personnel matters.
I second.
Thank you, Dr. Sorensen. Thank you, Ms. McGinnis. The board hears the motion and second to remove personnel items from the consent agenda. Do we have any discussion on that? No discussion. All in favor of that, members of the board, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. So we have personnel matters in front of us to consider as a whole.
I recuse myself. My son is on the list.
Thank you. We appreciate that. It would be noted that Trustee Norse has recused herself as she has a family member who is on the list. You've had the opportunity to go over the personnel items. What's the mind of the board concerning our personnel matters?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the personnel matters as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Sorensen. We are second.
I second.
You hear the motion and second that's before us that we approve personnel matters. Are there any discussion? Is there any discussion on that matter? There being none, all in favor of that, members of the board, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. That is carried. Roman numeral 7, academic affairs presentation.
Mr. Chair, are you going to go back to be true thief?
I'm so sorry. We did not approve those matters?
No, we just
Again,
did.
We just did personnel.
I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. It was a long way over.
Not worth it.
Meanwhile, back at the consent agenda. So we'd like to entertain a motion to approve items B through D on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Norris.
Second.
We have a second by Trustee Allen. The board hears the motion in the second before them to approve the remainder of the consent agenda items B through D. Is there any discussions? All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion's carried. Now, Roman numeral 7, and go back.
Yes, it will be.
All right.
I'll be presenting twice this evening under Academic Affairs. With us tonight, Dean of Academic Affairs is Matt Peace. Most of you know an Assistant Dean, Chris Brady from Workforce Technical Education. And also with us, that will be making a brief presentation after I go over a few things, will be Dr. Michael Baker to talk about our study abroad program. Just a couple things. A lot is happening under teacher prep information. The Lake City Reporter published a letter to the editor on December 13th titled Early Childhood Development, Why It Matters and How to Support It by Kimberly Essing. Miss Essing has earned 3 early childhood certificates and an AS in early childhood education at FGC. She's currently working on her BS in early childhood education. So it's great to see our students writing letters of support for education. BS in elementary education student Raymond Brown was selected as the employee who exemplified the trait of gratitude at his school, Anderson Elementary in Dixie County. I thought it was important to announce that today. Rosa Saperstein was selected as the Power Professional of the Year at Westside Elementary School in Columbia County. She is majoring in elementary education at the college. What's very important, and I know Dr. Baker, Dr. Peace and Dr. Carswell in education have been working diligently on the teacher apprenticeship program. 12 courses will be converted into an apprenticeship model. Additionally, mentor teacher apprenticeship onboarding and FTCE bootcamp training will be developed in the coming months. And we've met a couple of times already to develop it. We were one of 5 schools met that received the grant. 5 or 6 schools that received the grant to start this up. Our grant money was $160,000. UF got, I think, $1 million of it, but we got $160,000. So, but we are the smallest school that received it, but smallest in enrollment. So we were very happy about that. Something else: Dr. Carswell and Dr. Peace traveled to UF this week to discuss partnering in the quote "Going Gator" unquote program with the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. FGC AA graduates will have guaranteed admission to certain liberal arts programs and will have the opportunity to minor in education. One of our first formal ones we've been doing. Upon completion of their baccalaureate degree, these students can apply for a temporary certificate to teach at both the middle school and high school level, which we don't offer at FGC currently, while finishing their certification exams. And I signed that agreement this morning, and we're talking about the marketing of it and also about a signing ceremony that we do. So we're very excited about that. Brain Bowl. We qualified for the tournament last month and for the national competition in Chicago later this February. 5 students will be competing, and Coach James Javons and Dr. Patsy Love will be traveling with the team. Couple of things in the business area. Tim Mims and the academic staff received feedback from the Department of Education regarding our bachelor's degree proposal in business. Very minor revisions. I got a call from the chancellor the other day. We've already clarified one issue, and now the only clarification we need is we need to get some correspondence from UF regarding that we've contacted them. There was some issue that we thought because of our region we were in UF's area, but we have to change that. So we'll get that taken care of. On Chris's area, we received a welding grant of $200,000 to expand our electrical work in our welding building. And Lee will also tell you about potential that we're getting from the legislature this year in my report later. We also received EUM, is that what it's called? EUM, see, I'm right, not an academic, but fire equipment, self-contained breathing systems as a grant And we also have started our second cohort of this, practice of that. I don't know, I wrote it down. I'm having a long day. It was a long trip with Dr. T. So I better not, I usually don't read my stuff. But so I will just say a lot is happening on the academic end. And then as I was coming to get Dr. T this afternoon, we have our update that you're all very impressed with is our passing rates for our nursing. The LPN to RN bridge rate just came in for December graduates. 11 of our 17 graduates have tested. All 11 have passed with 100% passing rate. The traditional RN, 18 of our 42 graduates have tested with 100% passing rate. And for the LPN program, 14 of our 18 graduates have tested with a 100% pass rate. And in CNA, we only had 2 graduates in December, but both have passed on their first attempt. So we're batting 100.
Wow.
It's a great start for our academics. So, and Mr. Chair, that's the report from academics.
Wonderful.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Michael Baker is here. He's the director for this. Well, I call him a director. He's been doing this twice for our cohort for this program. And I would like him to introduce it. We're doing it again this summer. The college has set aside some resources for this for both the students and the academic faculty to go to this. And Michael, Jure.
At the end of the tables, there are a couple of photo books. If you would like to look through them and kind of like pass them around, I would like to reclaim those, but the brochures are yours to keep if you wish. Both of these, by the way, were designed by students. I think 2 worked on the brochure, and about 2 or 3 students worked on the photo book. But that was the first thing. The most important thing is I would like to say thank you to Dr. Barrett and to the board as well, because without your support, study abroad would not happen. And it's been really awesome for FGC. In the last 3 semesters, we have had 1 student each semester win a Gilman Scholarship, which is put out by the U.S. State Department. And it is specifically for study abroad students, people who receive the Pell Grant can apply for the Gilman Scholarship. And we've had 1 winner in the fall, spring, and fall of the last 3 semesters, including this past fall, our first female winner, Ashley Rayburn. So anyway, we're doing good things. Now, as far as the program, we are a B6, so we take place in the second half of the summer. The first week we are here on taking classes on campus. Then we spend 3 weeks abroad, 2 weeks at Harleston College, which is on the front of the brochure and actually the front of the photo book. And then the last week we are over there in London, and students get 6 credits. They take 2 classes in 2023. The classes there was a creative writing class and a art history class. For 2024, it will be a introduction to literature class and a drawing 1 class. But yeah, and so that's kind of and while we're over there, Monday, Wednesdays tend to be class days. Tuesday, Thursdays tend to be excursion days. So we go places like York or Lincoln or Oxford, Cambridge, places like that. And let's see. So far, we've been pretty steady on our numbers. In 2019, we had 10 students. Last year, we had 11 students, and I think we are currently at 11 students for 2024 as well. We did have 13. A couple students had to pull out, so we actually have 2 tickets that are reserved, have no names attached to them. So if you know any students who would like to go in 2024, we have room for 2 more. But anyway, I will be here, so if you see the photo books or whatever, and have any questions afterwards.
Michael, you want to just explain that, you mean the cost, they can see the cost is in the brochure,
Yes.
but we've been doing the tuition fee waivers, we've been some fee
Yeah.
with, so we want to just explain, so the cost.
Yes. This coming year, the cost will be $5,500. It's the first year we haven't been able to include officially the tuition in there, but we've got some, I believe it's 10 tuition waivers for the students coming
Yes.
up in this in the next. And you also gave tuition waivers last summer
Yep.
to all the students, to the 11 students who went, and that was awesome. That was amazing. What that did is that actually helped give us. We were able to save a little bit of money in some other places. And we were able to print the photo book for the students so that they didn't get charged extra for that. And plus, I was able to give them a little bit of a stipend in London, so they didn't have to pay for any food while they were in London. So yeah, the tuition waivers were extremely helpful as well. And even though it is not an inexpensive program, we do try to include everything we can, including airfare, round trip, accommodations while we're there, both at Harlexton and in London. Harlexton provides 3 meals a day, including when we go on an excursion, they pack a lunch for us. It includes entrance into all of the sites that we go to for the official program. It includes transportation within the country to those places. Books. It includes the books. About the only thing it doesn't include is, the personal things that students want to. And technically, it doesn't include lunch and dinner in London, but with like the tuition waiver, being able to save a little bit of extra money, we've been able to give them a daily stipend to pay for lunch and dinner in London as well. So outside of that cost, there's not much else except for any personal travel, which we have had. Both years we had students, a group of them go off to Paris for a weekend. So we'll see if that tradition continues this year.
Thank you.
But anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or observations from any of our trustees about our study abroad program?
I'd just like to say that I know it's a wonderful program, and these students that have gone have had a wonderful time. They've learned a lot, and I know this past summer 2 of our Union County kids were in that group,
Yes.
Carly Ann and Jackson,
Yes.
and they had a great time, and I've talked to them about it.
I think you wrote a letter of recommendation for at least one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited that the program is offered.
Great.
I don't know if any of y'all did this when you were in college, but I did. I went to Cambridge, and it was awesome. It was one of the most, I've forgotten a lot of things. I remember everything about that trip, including being in the British Museum for like 8 or 9 hours or whatever, and having that moment of clarity when you're like, I'm 19 years old, I'm however many thousand miles away from home, and I've been in the British Museum for all. I was like, you are a nerd, man.
You are a nerd.
But yeah, great. It is. It's a great thing, and they will definitely remember it.
Thank you for everything you do to make that happen. Your commitment is very clear. We appreciate it. Okay. That is our academic affairs. Next, Roman numeral 8, student affairs and public information. Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'd like to start out my report talking about our athletic department. Our women's softball team held their first home opener in 16 years on January 27th in front of a record 451 raving fans, a new softball record attendance. Thank you to Travis George, Amy Deagle, and Chris Hackett for creating the perfect environment for our newest team. And of course, Dr. Barrett for supplying the always entertaining play-by-play for our first game.
She's talking about the dog joke I told when it was clean.
The FGC softball team has started the season with a commendable 6-4 record. Yesterday, the Timberwolves swept Andrew College with scores of 10-8 and then 21-0 after 5 innings. Sophomore Kara Smith has been recognized as the D2 Pitcher of the Week by the FCSAA. The team is set to play a doubleheader this Saturday against South Georgia State College at 1 p.m. Our men's basketball team is gearing up to host Pasco Hernando State College this Saturday at 2 p.m. at the Howard Center. Currently, we hold second place in the Sun Lakes Conference, trailing behind FSCJ. Freshman Tajon Wright has been named the D2 Player of the Week by the FCSAA for averaging 14 points, 5 rebounds, as well as scoring a season-high 22 points in a win over FSCJ. So we're right there with them. Plenty of time to catch up. Our women's flag football team is preparing for a scrimmage against the University of Florida Gators club team this Saturday at 12:30 p.m. The team's home opener is scheduled for March 2nd against the Florida State Seminoles club team. Not many college programs start out with UF and FSU back to back. Our girls aren't afraid of anybody. And some exciting news for the FGC campus and the FGC athletic department is that we plan to reintroduce collegiate golf to Lake City and the FGC campus next fall. The women's golf team is set to tee off in August of 2024. competing in both the fall and spring semesters, with their home course being at Quail Heights Country Club. More details to follow. Under student activities, actually, this is more of the SGA report. They asked that I report this part out for them. Our Student Activities Office and our Student Government Association is organizing Spirit Week at FGC from February 24th through March 2nd. This week-long event, akin to homecoming, will feature alumni events, highlight all 3 active athletic programs, and include glow parties, movie nights, a colored paint war competition, which they've asked me to be a part of.
Remember, we're using the waivers.
We have waivers and goggles, yes. The goal for the Student Government Association is to engage the entire student body, faculty, staff, and alumni throughout the entire week. So we're excited about that. In our academic advising area, our academic advisors will be commencing an annual academic standing campaign to support students on academic warning and academic probation. Encouragingly, the number of students in this category has decreased from 208 last year to 175 this year. If you'd like to credit for last year's campaign, we'll put the brought them back around. The Public Information Office, over the last month, the PIO office has sent press releases on the softball home opener, the Foundation's Point Forest K Run/Walk, welding facility expansion grants, and the Beatles Tribute Band concert. In earned media, FGC has been featured 19 times across 6 different media outlets over the last month, including the Lake City Reporter and Channel 20. And finally, from that department, the recent Lifestyle Blood Drive was held on campus February 5th. We saw participation from 16 individuals. A total of 9 units of blood were collected, potentially saving 27 lives. And that is my...
Wonderful, thank you. Are there any questions or observations? Clearly a very, very active campus.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Roman numeral 9, enrollment and marketing, Ms. Schrader.
Thank you. Good evening. I'll start with the spring enrollment update. We are currently down 106 in student headcount, which is close to about 4%. We're at 2,695 students compared to 2,801 students last spring. We're only 86 credit hours down, so we're basically flat in credit hours, about 0.3%. So we're at 24,417 compared to 24,503 for last spring. February is Financial Aid Awareness Month, and Financial Aid has been working to promote the 24-25 FAFSA and all of the financial assistance that we offer in financial aid. Last week, they held 2 events. They were called the 24-25 as Nacho Average FAFSA event, kind of hard to say. It was very popular among students, and we don't think it was the FAFSA that brought them there. It's probably the free nachos and cheese that were given out. That's okay, it worked. They are holding 4 more events throughout the month that will promote financial aid in a fun, engaging way. They will also be hosting a FAFSA brunch on a Saturday in March. It's going to be on March 12th from 9:30 to 12:30. We're hoping this will be a more convenient time for parents and students to come, have breakfast, ask questions, and complete the FAFSA. So the 24-25 FAFSA simplification continues. And it continues to be a concern for us and all colleges everywhere. The Department of Ed has announced a plan to support certain high-need colleges. It's kind of vague what we're going to offer. They say technical assistance, staffing, funding. We're not sure, but really we just need to get the data so we can see how students are impacted. And the earliest we'll have that data, they say now, is like late March. So we'll wait on that. In dual enrollment, Julie Cannon and her staff have been attending parent interest meetings at the high schools this month. They are also scheduled to meet with every current dual enrollment student at each high school at the end of February through the month of March to advise them for summer and fall registration. We are inviting the community to an FGC open house on Thursday, March 7th in our library. And it's from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. We pretty much have all programs represented and departments. So we appreciate our faculty and staff taking time to promote their programs and talk to the public and show up. Finally, we are working to get our next second chance Pell cohort started in the summer. We're hoping to have 40 new students starting that cohort in environmental science. So Crystal Clark is the liaison for that, but our enrollment services department and financial aid have a lot to do with the onboarding, so they've been part of that. And they're working on that. Keystrokes?
I read a report on the FAFSA progress or lack thereof, and some of the figures that they were putting out, like for, how far students were at this point this year as compared to where they were at this point last year, were pretty staggering to me. And in the report that I read, they had said that there was discussion about extension of deadlines. Have you heard anything about that?
Extension of deadlines?
Yeah.
No, because it's open, from usually October on, but in this case.
Well, I think what they meant by the May 1st deadline that many colleges have, that
Oh, the
deposit
college
debt.
deadline.
Yes.
So many
I
times
gotcha.
they have their financial aid packages
Right.
by then, and so they're talking about,
Yes, that was.
so I mean, that's
Yes.
we don't follow that.
We're pretty much open access all year, so we can get it done quickly when we get that data, which is good.
But that does impact certain students if they don't have, if it's just say a UF student, that could be, might be decided because
Right.
of cost between FGC. It's going to impact those kind of decisions by that student. So if they do extend the deadline, I do think I'm going to ask Michelle to set aside some
Right.
money in next year's budget to help those students get through. So we're not canceling them out because of the financial aid hasn't been done. So we're looking at a proactive approach, but it's going to be a messy situation.
Yeah, and typically when a student submits the FAFSA and they realize a correction is needed, they just get back in there, they make a change, it gets updated, and they can't get back in there. So we're having that issue too. And they say they won't be available possibly until late March for them to be able to access the correction. So we're just dealing with a lot of these things as we go, we're learning. Or should be.
So so far you feel you can see our way ahead.
Yes.
Great.
I have anxiety, but yes.
The creative tension is not necessarily bad.
Yeah.
Then on our drop, it looked like, if you're at 86 credit hours, which would be
Yes.
about 7 full-time students.
Right.
It sounds, and I just want to get that out there for the, down 100 in the head count.
Right.
But whenever you look at credit hours, that's like 7 full-time students. It could be a little,
It is. It's
Misleading.
interesting, data because it's like last spring with the spring incentives and the CARES Act funding, the free class, we
yes,
had more non-degree students and they were just taking 1 class, 2 class. So fortunately, we've made up for it with a student base that's more full-time, more athletes that are going full-time,
mhm,
things like that. And then last year we had more short-term CTE program enrollment. That was our increase. And a lot of them graduated in the fall because they're short-term. So we had like 150 more graduates this past fall than the fall before, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
But they're just not in that AA category.
sure.
But we are seeing that kind of level off, which is good. I'll just keep going. Dual enrollment is down. We're down about 64 students. So it's not for lack of interest. We see the interest there, but it seems to be more of they can't meet the criteria, lesser meeting criteria. So we have the math boot camp. We're working with them, but we are facing that. And then the second chance Pell cohort that's starting in the summer. So last spring, we had 50 in that program. They were in the AS and environmental science, and then some in the AA. They graduated in the fall. And then 20 of them went on to the bachelor's, and we didn't start the new cohort for the AS. So we're down a little bit in that, but we'll start pick it up in the summer. So sorry, I got that.
Good, good. Thank you for the additional.
Yeah.
On the dual enrollment, is there a particular area that you see that we're down more than other areas?
As far as like high school regions, it's really spread out.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of at each one.
Is it more math or communications?
It's more the math level. So a lot of them have their reading and the writing.
Okay.
It's that math, that's why.
Yeah. So, once again, Mr. Chair. So a recent report just came out, and I was going to share that in our May meeting, but by county about the 8th grade competency rates to meet the standards in the state of Florida. And unfortunately, in Columbia County, 68% of the students are not at the rate that they need to be in math. And it's close to that with the English and writing. So as we try to prep people to do dual enrollment, it becomes a trickle down, as we say, just not into the college levels, but into our communities and so forth. So we need to start, and we're trying to address that by a number of ways. But that is the big the challenge, right? When you have that in your biggest county, but the largest, so those are going to be issues. So, and that was state the data. I can bring that all forward. There's a whole scorecard of a lot of issues that are out there. So for every one of our counties. So, but I
That
think
would be interesting to see too, you know, for when we look at our pass rates on things, we want to know what our competition is doing, we also want to know what the state's doing, what our national averages, and so,
what you do. Awesome.
and those kids would have been during COVID in maybe 5th grade, 5th or 6th?
5th or 6th.
I mean, this,
So are the new 3rd graders though doing better since they were the bad one?
No.
That was the bad cohort, so to speak. They were, you know.
In Columbia County, I can just say it's they do a metrics and it says flat, which doesn't mean it's going up.
Okay, because those kids would have just maybe not even been in the school system yet
right.
in terms of, or preschool, maybe kindergarten. Okay, that's interesting.
So I'll bring that to the March meeting. I thought it was
I
interesting.
don't think it's just the schools. I think
No,
it's
it's-
everywhere. And anybody that works with.
And it's, to me, we're really having more COVID cases. I know in our county we are.
Again, but come on. You do, as the president said, you always know your numbers. Thank you so much. Means a lot. Okay, if there are no other questions or observations, we'll move on to Roman numeral 10 and our business services report by Mrs. Holloway.
Good afternoon. I have 2 budget amendments to request approval on. The college request approval of budget amendment number 6 to the restricted current fund, Fund 2, for the fiscal year 23-24. This amendment recognizes revised award authorizations and new grants received in the 23-24 fiscal year.
You hear our finance director's request. We would like to entertain a motion to approve that request.
I make a motion.
I'll second first.
Thank you. Ms. McGinnis makes the motion and Dr. Tepedino seconds it. Is there any discussion on the motion as presented? If not, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion is carried.
Thank you. My next request, we are requesting approval of Fund 7, Budget Amendment 6, which has been revised so the report reflects actual revenue, revised budgeted expenditures, actual expenses, and updated projects through January 19th, 2024.
Yeah.
You hear our finance director's request. Do we have a motion to grant that request?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Lander makes a motion and Mrs. Allen seconds the motion for budget amendment number 6 for the capital outlay plan for unexpended plant fund 7 for this fiscal year. Any discussion or observations on that? If not, all in favor of the motion, and second, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. And do you have anything else you'd like to share with us?
Just wanted to share an update on our safety program that we have with the deferred maintenance money, where the majority of doors on campus, other than like the custodial door, will have swipe access. So there will be a select group of us that will have access to an app that we could get on our phone, but at any time we could shut down the entire college. We could shut down one building, we could shut down one room with the app that, some of this will have access to. So that's about 85-95% complete.
That's phenomenal.
That's great.
That is
Wow.
great.
That is
And
great.
OSD is part of that as well.
Wonderful.
That we are going towards a safer college.
Great. Okay, if there's nothing else for Finance Director, Roman numeral 11, President's Report.
I'll be much more comfortable with this one. First, thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I go up for a couple of little things, I'd like to ask Lee Pinchok to give a legislative update on 2 issues that were done.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Barrett. As we've reached halfway through the State of Florida's legislative session, Dr. Barrett asked me to give an update on our legislative requests. So we put in 2 requests this year from a funding perspective. One being $952,000 for a welding renovation, which I think Dr. Barrett and Chris can tell more about than I, but to dramatically increase our welding capacity, more booths, more electricity, it's much needed. So we put in this request on both the House and the Senate side through our local delegations. Representative Brandon sponsored it on the House side and Senator Bradley sponsored it on the Senate side. When the initial budget came out for the General Appropriations Act for the House and the same act for the Senate, that funding is in the Senate portion of the bill. It was not picked up in the House side, but that is nothing that we feel is anything to worry about. When you get it in at least one side of one of the chambers, that's a good sign. So we're continuing to lobby for that right now. We're talking to our representatives on the House side to make sure when they get into budget conferencing that they speak to each other specifically about that. That project was higher up on the PICO list, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's been accepted. The second was, as you all know, the $7.5 million for the construction of the new charter school. And unfortunately, when the budgets came out on both sides, we were not included on either side. So Dr. Barrett and I immediately went to work to figure out why and what we could do differently. One of the first things I'll say is the budget that is being put out by the governor and then both sides is about $4 billion less than last year. And it doesn't appear that this was the year to ask for new project funding, when last year probably would have been the year to ask for new project funding. That's the easy way of saying it. One of the things we could have done differently, I could have done differently, when you fill out these budget request forms, you put a project in for the total amount, when you need the money for what years. What I've learned is we probably should have asked for half the money. Said the total project was $7.5 million, but asked for 3.75, and that's a much more tolerable amount for the legislature to undertake for a new project. And then once they start funding the project, they will not stop. So that's something we can, in hindsight, we can do differently in the future. But Dr. Barrett and I were both up in Tallahassee earlier this week, met with some more of our delegation, and we're not dead. There is a path forward. It's a bit of a long shot, but we do have a path forward right now to speak about end of session budget dollars that could be appropriated towards this project. And when we asked, could that happen? We're told yes, there is a way to do it. So we're working on doing that right now. And one of the things we're working on is now asking for a smaller amount, possibly $700,000, just to cover the architecture and the engineering of the project. So that therefore, when we go back again, when we go back again, the other thing we were told is if you have architecture and engineering done and you can say, we're shovel ready on this project, as soon as you approve, we go, opposed to saying, this is a brand new idea, a brand new project, you're more likely to get funded. So that is a majority of my updates.
Any questions?
Did anybody else get any funding for charter schools that you're aware of? Because I know that was certainly, as we were discussing strategic planning, it was made clear to us that it was a priority that we participate. So did any other schools get that
They
money?
got all their monies last year.
Right.
Before they got all their monies
I haven't
last
seen any new appropriations for new construction.
I think Santa Fe was last year
They were last year.
4.9
Okay.
for renovation.
But
for
nobody else
charter.
around this area got any money that
Yeah.
we're aware of.
And that was one of the points.
And of course, a for-profit could come in and do their own thing, but okay.
And that was one of the points we were trying to make as well, is that
So cost.
we're looking to do it right. We're looking to build a standalone building for $7.5 million. You appropriated money to another institution for about $5 million just to retrofit buildings last year. So this isn't that much more money when we want to do it the right way.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for staying nimble. Thank you for, fighting and getting up there, because it seems like a daunting task to even understand how legislature works. And I know that they probably have to be exhausted as well in Tallahassee with, all the asks and things. And so we appreciate, all, both sides, but more importantly, you guys to represent us, to go up there and to really vie for our communities. Regardless of the outcome, I appreciate being nimble and saying, let's recalibrate now. So I think it takes a certain level of humility to say, you know what, maybe next time this is how we'll do it, and retool the process.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to have you.
Well,
I appreciate your work.
I appreciate the opportunity. I enjoy the process. Actually, I'm learning a lot. But to your point, when we met with one representative this week, we walked in and he was standing up. I said, "Are we standing?" He goes, I'm not going to sit down. I'm standing. And I started to go into a little bit of the soft, well, as we told you in the past, he goes, "Lee, just tell me what you want."
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So just tell me what you need.
And I will follow up with Lee's comments is that, if the board continues to support this and we move forward with this, there are other funding opportunities that are out there. This was probably because I was told that was probably the best way to do it, but there are other ways to do this, such as going through what we did with the CDL pad at in Alusty. There's ways with the job growth grants and those things like that, because they do consider these economic development opportunities. So as soon as we did that, we looked at some of those other things, but I want to wait till see what happens on the legislative error, and I want to see as we progress as the board makes its decisions over that. So I think don't want to put a lot of we want to put a lot of effort. We have put a lot of effort. We're just spinning, and we will, if we have to, we could actually have a plan of how we could repurpose some things, but I would prefer not to bring that forward yet.
So will we be tabling the workshop? next?
No, I think that's going to be, I might
I'm
as well
sorry,
lead in.
keep going.
All right, thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Lee.
Mr. Chair, could I keep going?
Yes, please.
As we move forward, I did speak to the consultant. I did speak to some people in the Department of Education. I think it's important that we continue the conversation. Whether you take action or not, I think it's important because we know what the guidelines are today. We know what the guidelines are, at least for the next few months. The process, if the board does move forward with the application and so forth, we have up to 3 years to start this. To actually open the school. So I think it would be important to do that. That would be my recommendation. And that kind of leads me into what I was going to say. It gets me ahead of something, but I have kind of drafted a agenda that I'll try to share with you, but I just want to give you, if you have any suggestions currently, I want to go over how we got here, talk about maybe some of those issues we just talked about why we need it, especially in Columbia County, what our outcomes for our students would be. I think it will be very important for you. What I heard you loud and clear last meeting was the legal components of the charter school, especially your roles and any other roles outside of Columbia County for the other schools, if there are any roles to play. And have both the legal counsel there, that will be the charter school legal counsel, have our consultants there, and have me do starting off with a couple of those statistics and so forth. So if you want any very much more specific things, I'm glad to provide it to you and everything as we talk about it. But
Is there anything that any trustee, to me, it sounded like you captured the salient points from our conversation, but are there any other points that any trustee would like to see added to that conversation so that the president can prepare in advance?
and what I will do is send you out another email in the next couple of days with specifically do that.
Thank you.
I would like to present Dr. Barrett both a check.
Oh, okay. All
It's never a wrong time.
right, but yeah, we'll take it. We'll take the check. I'll take the check.
I'd like to give Dr. Barrett a $600 check, and this goes to the GED program that the students pay for one test, and then we try to furnish another check. And so that's what we're going to do for this.
Thank you. We had 2 graduates here in Dixie County about a month ago. We went to the graduation for them. We were asked to do this in Dixie County, and we're excited it's at the Dixie County Center. And it is both those students are coming here.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the students is going to be tutoring for us that's already here. So thank you so much for doing that. I know it's always been post-secondary, but and these students are going to be coming to the college. So
Well, that's the end result. They can't go to the college if they don't have a GED.
That's right.
So if they get their GED, the next step is for them to go to college. And that's my push for them. Because I try to talk to the students about, and I push Florida Gateway. So that's what they need to do.
And Lee, if I'm incorrect, the total scholarship giving to the college from the Dixie County Foundation this year, the students received in their pockets or through $54,500 from just. And I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for being here today. I know Carol couldn't be here. Thank you for being here too.
No other counties.
So it's great, and we're totaling up how much total over the last many years. So thank you so much, Catherine. I also now I'm taking off again. Okay, so other thing that we did meet with, which has lots of potential, is Florida Power and Light. Lee and I met with them in the Capitol to talk about signage because they're going to be doing a huge solar plant next to the college, over 380 acres off of Route 100. So we have lots of potential partners with them, with both educationally and also support for the college through different types of programs. We're talking about lineman program again, and those kinds of things that are very necessary, and also alternative energy. Want to invite you all, let us know within the next within 2 weeks, the Campus Vibe, which is the old entertainment series, the Beatles tribute band on March 8th at 7 p.m. So I know many of you looking forward to bringing back that situation, and some of you might have seen that group back. It was here 10 years ago, and they do different stages of the Beatles from 64 to 60, 70, the different stages. So I like the earlier ones, not the Sgt. Pepper. Okay, so I just for the record. And it is we're going to be having a grand opening of a newly renovated Performing Arts Center. It is spectacular, with more to come. Thanks to the foundation, we'll be doing a brand new audio and video thing, but it is spectacular. You won't even recognize it when you're in there. So, and thanks to Mike Lee for pulling that off with a very limited budget, $130,000, to make this place look totally brand new. So, one of the things I would like to say, a couple of last things, is we have with us today Lance Bass and Brian Langston, who's not replacing, but he is the new Anthony Free.
AV specialist too.
AV specialist too. Okay, I don't know all of that, so I am getting old about these positions. So anyway, I bring them here because they are bringing the public this meeting, but also they do an exorbitant amount of time and energy. When we talk about bringing softball back, if anyone just goes on our YouTube live thing, it is ESPN quality. The audio is quality, even though there's not much audio there, but video is awesome. They do all the basketball games. They do all these events. So I think there's like 14 or 15 weekends almost in a row that they're doing. So I just want to acknowledge their work, and they really are doing top-notch stuff. And I believe, the one last thing about that, people say, why are we streaming this stuff? The last game, the basketball game, will just give you 2 examples of the impact just this college is not having on the service area. I had, when I got to the basketball game, there was 5 women cheering on Antoine Weber, who was from Minnesota. And I was like, what are they cheering on Antoine Weber? Didn't think of anything about it. And at halftime, they came up to me and they called me something, but they didn't know I was the president. They called me the Slam Bam Jam Man. And then a parent came over. He's the president. No, he's not. And I was like, it was great. It actually made me feel really good. So anyway, but the issue why they came from Minnesota, all of them came to visit with him. At that same meeting we had, at the same game we had that we won, Jason Johnson's parents came from New York City.
Wow.
And on our broadcast, every broadcast, if you see the 200 people that watch the video, I know Megan watches it. She can't make the games. We have people watching from Minnesota. We have a person from the Virgin Islands, where his whole family watches from the Virgin Islands, and grandparents from Saratoga Springs. So our impact is, even though people say, why are you a sports school? The impact of letting those students be academic people, giving them that opportunity, but it also helps our institution. And we do have a lot of local players too on all our teams. So it's a great mixture and it makes it for a great college. So I just wanted to end with that. So thank you very much.
I'll be at the softball game
And I know Penny,
Saturday.
You going Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would just say that like the last couple of days, I've had several people mention to me sports related events at the college, which, again, it's creating a buzz, it's creating a feel of community in a larger sense. But specifically softball, because of Gene's, a couple of the players have played for Gene originally. So I just think it's, a great opportunity to showcase the college, not just for sports, but that people start hearing about all the other wonderful things, because they'll get connected on social media to the college for that. And next thing pops up our pass rate, pops up this and pops up that. So it is great PR for the school. And I do think the locals, the fact that the students are from the district, they do have a following already.
Thank you, Lord Chair.
Okay. Do you have anything else needs to claim the attention of our group? I want to
I
make
don't know if the lady in the back there is wanting to say anything. You
our
don't
chamber.
want to?
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Very good. So I do have something I want to share with the group. Like many of you, I've been on many boards. Had the privilege of serving our community and Northeast Florida on many boards. And this is easily one of the absolute finest. You all are amazing, incredible individuals. And great work is done here. But just as a general reminder, as we have necessary, rigorous conversation, and we must have it in order to develop relevant and quality educational programming, which we have done, just so that everyone can be heard and feel like they're being heard, and getting all of their thoughts and completion out before someone else speaks. If you would kindly just ask for the attention of the chair before we go to the next speaker. And I may mention that at the next meeting as well, but just a general request, if that's okay with the board. We have some rigorous issues in front of us, and I want to see that everybody gets to be heard. Thank you so much, and thank you for that. Topics for future meetings, of course, please contact the president's office. He's always glad to entertain those and bring them to us as he does. You're free to inspect the warrant register. And our next meeting time is scheduled. We have a workshop. We're going to look maybe to...
Well, I was talking to some of you. I think some of you will be there, but the thing is that the majority of the board is going to have a tough time making 3 o'clock. So, I think 4 is too short a period of time. I would make a suggestion that we move to 3:30, Mr. Chair, and then that way we can get the majority of the board there and still have our lawyer, our consultant, and me, and then have still 45 minutes of discussion with the board. That's what I would try.
Thank you. With the permission of the board, I would like for that to be I think that should be an action item. We published it one way and we're talking about amending to another. Is 3:30 agreeable? If it is, could we have a motion to that point?
I make a motion that we meet at 3:30 for the board workshop.
A second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. McGinnis makes a motion, second by Dr. Surrency, that we amend our time from 3 p.m. as published to 3:30 p.m. All in favor of that, members of the board, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion's carried. Good. So our next meeting time will be at 3:30 on March 14th for a board workshop, and that'll be in the boardroom, correct? Not at the library, in the boardroom, and then 5 p.m. for a regular meeting. All right. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you. That's all we need is the motion. Thank you. We're adjourned.
I would like to thank all of you for coming. I know it's a distance.
You do it every
It's
time,
real
though.
worth it. You're well worth it.
Yeah.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's always good food.
And who's collecting will be papers on
Amy?
graduation.
Amy.
Catherine, that was really surprising.
Oh, good.
It wasn't made out to me, so.
Well,